Okay, let's start. So, Pietro, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you are a Florentine writer. You've written 9 books, and for over 20 years, you talk about reading and writing. And so, I would love to talk with you about reading and writing and how can we do better these kinds of stuff. So, are you up for playing the better games with me?
Absolutely. I'm
Okay,
here to
so
do it. I'm game, as you say.
let's start with a little warm up. So, what do you actually do? But no job title.
I would call myself an illusionist.
That's right.
This is what we try to do. There's a famous small book about Vargas Llosa, the writer, the Nobel Prize, who sadly passed away recently, who says this, that what we try to do is convince readers, people, faraway people, drag them in our world, in the world that we're trying to portray. And obviously, it's all a giant fake because all we have are a code is a code on a piece of paper. And so we end up talking about that porch, that ashtray, that table, that tear, that emotion, as if it's real, but it's not. It's just some ink on a piece of paper. And the reason why we end up talking about it as if it's real is because the author is a good illusionist. So actually, the real answer to your question is I'm practicing to be an illusionist. I'm not sure I always succeed, but that's what I try to do.
Okay. But we can say that you work with words.
Yes.
And starting from this very tiny but superpower brick of the way we talk and the way we write, how are words important today, especially today?
Well, they are immensely important. I think the right word in the right place at the right moment, be it a description or a dialogue or a piece of literature, a scene of any kind, is important. The authors that I love, and this is also what I've been talking about today in a class I gave, and in general in life when I give classes, is the power of detail, the power of nuances. The actual theme of these couple of days together is nuances. So the great illusionists, the great writers are those that catch the perfect nuance, the perfect word in this sense to get in this other people's life, the reader's life. And nowadays are particularly important. And by the way, I'm very concerned about an idea that some words get canceled because you shouldn't be using them. Or I think honestly, and I maybe stretch it a little, but that words should all be there in the dictionary. If they are in the dictionary, they have a reason to be there. The words are the expression of one of the highest tools of the human mind, which is to name things, specific things. So maybe try to find the right words, but the idea that we should cancel some scares me very much because I feel it as an attack to literally the human mind and its greatest possible meaning.
We can say that maybe it's better to have more word than less.
The better is, I think, to have the most precise and effective words possible. Yes. And so probably the more we have and the more we have to pick from. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so let's go on with the game. Finish the sentence. Writing is better when?
Writing is better when you're half asleep. I find that there's a big, deep relationship between writing and narration and storytelling and dreaming. And if you read a lot of autobiographies or interviews, you find that writers often write very late at night, very early in the morning. So I think when you're close to your dreamy mood, you write better. And I find it also interesting because I think it's also dream, using the other meaning of the word dream, which is to hope for something better. I think also in this sense, it's better when you're dreaming. I think that literature is still a way that the humans came up with to look at a wider world, and so to dream bigger dreams. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so I would like to share with you a sentence that I think you share also with the class. So there is carries the detail, the divine detail.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
That is the greatest task of a narrator. This sentence is from Nabokov, one of the masters of all times. And when I said that I try to be an illusionist, I practice to be an illusionist, not always succeed, I would say that the way in which we succeed is the way in which we manage to use the details, to craft them, to find them, to portray them. So, and how you do it, it's basically, I should start here describing not mine, but probably the life in general of some of the greatest authors of all time, meaning from the position that they put themselves in. And I'm thinking, for instance, of Proust. And to write, he wrote only in bed at night in a certain position with a specific pen. And I think that was the only way for him to have that flow that it's so important for the recherche, for his giant cathedral to literature. Going to also all the reviewing and if we were in a workshop, in a carpenter's workshop, how to work with files and shine that piece of that word, that sentence. I would say that caressing the detail is what a good writer or one who tries to be a good writer does from the second he wakes up in the morning to the second he goes to bed at night. Even just in the way that you look at the world around you, I think there's a way to caress the detail and note and caress the detail.
Okay. So you already spent some word about this topic, but I would like to ask you more, because we say that every word carries multiple meanings, and so has different and multiple impact to the people we share. But how do you or do we pick the right or the nuance, so the right meaning to have the right impact? How is it difficult to?
It is very difficult sometimes comes very naturally, and you find yourself writing, and for some reason your hand, so to speak, puts that perfect word in the perfect place. Sometimes you get in front of sentences or pages or description that actually you feel that something is working, but it's just missing that perfect word. It's missing that perfect nuance. And this would be a laughter and a smile between me and some friends of mine who write books. And because people who want to do this well sometimes, and our partners hate us for it because we are depressed for a whole day or a whole week because we're not finding that perfect shade of that perfect adjective or that perfect word. So how you do it, in many different ways: waiting, be patient, reading. And again, as for the previous answer, this is basically, though, what we try to do at our best all the time. And I have to say that the only note to this, or just nuance to it, is a little different between, for instance, English and Italian, which is the language that I write in, because Italian is a lot more rocky, meaning it looks my sculpting marble. It's but it has very precise meaning to words, while English has a lot of words that mean slightly different things. But if you find that perfect word that you put it in that place, it kind of shines in different directions, and it's beautiful. Both aspects of these two very different language are beautiful. But it's just that having a brain that shifts from one language to the other, not in writing, likely, because I tried to write in English, but I ended up always falling back into Italian. But this is a different, to use the same word, nuance of the two languages that has precisely to do with the meaning of some words. Yeah.
So sometimes maybe the decision, or also the big decision of how to write or to speak is strictly linked to the public, to the people who we want to share our talk. So let's do another part of our game.
Yeah.
If you have to explain to my grandmother,
okay,
better is
to your grandmother, or probably even my grandmother, I would say better is freedom. Freedom meaning also in the way in which we choose our life, we choose words, we choose everything. I think that our grandmothers grew in a world that in some cases was a lot harder, in some cases was even a lot easier, but where there were a lot of restrictions in how you had to live, or even economic restrictions that now got better in some ways, or some got tighter. So I would say that better is that. Better is flexibility, better is freedom. And it's also, to be honest, what is scaring me very much of our times, because I lived the 90s, which you thought that this was the world was going in that direction, this form of, let's call it freedom, for lack of a better word. It was spreading throughout the world, and now we're realizing that that was not the case, and we'll need to live with what it comes. But yeah, to my grandmother and your grandmother's, I would say that better is freedom. Yeah.
That's a nice answer. So let's continue to and play like better choice. So reading or writing?
Reading.
But why?
Reading because I now would love to have the exact citation by Borges, but he had a perfect sentence about this, of explaining how it's a much more profound and much more honest and much more noble activity than writing. Writing is, I mean, there wouldn't be reading if there wasn't writing from the great authors of all time. But there's a lot of selfishness involved. There's a lot of vanity involved in writing and publishing and all of that. While reading literally only adds up to your life. Ecco, let's put it in this other way, which is also subjective. I mean, my life was saved by reading and writing, because also writing brings reading
Sometimes
in your
comes
life.
together,
And,
yeah.
it has to go together. But I have to say that writing also brought some dark sides that I had to cope with and I had to manage, as anything in the world, or any profound and deep and complex activity that you get into. While reading there's no dark side into reading. It just brings light in your life sometimes through darkness. It opens a window on a dark place. That can happen. But it's just very protected dark area that you can get into and get out. So I really cannot see anything but light in the big scheme of things in writing. A lot more than in reading. I'm sorry, a lot more than writing.
So, and when we talk about stories, reality or fiction?
Fiction. I mean, there's the concept of reality in narrative, in literature for sure. It's just, it doesn't exist. Again, and this is because of what I said earlier. All we have is a code, symbols on a piece of paper. There's no reality there. It's always fiction, and this has to be very well understood by mostly the people who get into it and write, for instance, but even in their own different way, even a cinematographer or whoever. Mm-hmm. But so there's not even the game between reality and fiction. It's all fiction, always all fiction.
And if you think, I would like to share one of my personal thoughts, that even is fiction, the results and the effect is really real.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I say fiction, is that but the fiction is used to catch something that it's even more real than reality itself. but it's still a fake of that. And the other thing about it's, if you want to keep the world reality, it opens up to a much vaster reality than reality itself, because the vastity of fiction and of imagination is absolutely infinite in the real sense. So that's, for me, it's just that's a no game.
Okay. So, and now maybe a tricky question for a writer: AI or not AI? This is the question.
I would say absolutely AI, but because I don't think we have a choice. This is a theme that I'm getting interested in, not really because of my work. I think we will survive or not as writers, we'll see. I think that a lot of things in life have on Earth have been lost, and we lived very well even without. So I would give myself too much importance, or probably even literature in general, if I would think that it would collapse because of AI. But I would be very sad, because I see a lot of brightness in a bookshelf, in my bookshelf, for instance, not of my books, but of others, obviously. But I think it's not. The point is that that's why I say I don't think it's. I don't think there's a question there, meaning that AI is getting in, has already gotten in our life, and will get more and more in our life. The question is how you will place humankind next to it or not. But the fact, if there is or not, I think it's not a question anymore.
Okay, so we are arrive at the end.
Okay,
So
that was pretty easy.
So our last question is that, so at Videns, we believe that those who learn inherit the future.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of future, what writers and communicators should learn now to be also and to do better tomorrow?
To listen. I would say to listen to everything, to listen to the world around you, to listen to people who are very different from you, to listen to yourself, to listen to your own voices, meaning as the voices that are in our pages if we write, and we do. Because again, I just spent some time this morning explaining that an author and a narrator of any story are always two different people. And that's what I mean by listening to your voices. We who write, who come up with stories, have this, so to speak, privilege and direct relationship with the voices that then carry the stories that we're interested in. We need to listen to those voices as well. We need to listen to the voices of our neighbors. We need to listen better to the voices of the people who aren't our neighbors. I would say listen. The best tip I can give listening means also looking better, smelling better, just opening up your mind more. And that's what I mean by listening. But if I had to, one single word, come to me and say, what do I need to do to write better? Just listen better.
Thank you so much. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.